Shalom. This week's Sedra is Sedra Kitavoh. This week's Torah portion teaches about the differences between Jews and Gentiles and their relationship with God. This is a touchy subject, as Judaism isn't a supremacist religion, but it does note differences between its adherents and others. At the beginning of this week's Torah portion, we read the following: "Your God commands you this day to observe these laws and rules. Observe them faithfully with all your heart and soul. You have affirmed this day that Hashem is your God, in whose ways you will walk, whose laws and commandments and rules you will observe, and whom you will obey. God has affirmed this day that you are, as promised, God's treasured people who shall observe all the divine commandments." In his commentary to these psukim, Ramban wrote the following: Moshe finished explaining the Torah to the Jewish people and issuing all the new commandments which God commanded him to declare to them, to the people. It was appropriate for Moshe to now say, "This day God commanded you to do these mitzvos, for I have already explained everything for you." Ramban continued. He said the following: he said, "Moshe told the people, since you have accepted the entire Torah with all its interpretations, details, and new proclamations, you have magnified God and exalted him, that he alone will be your God. You will in no way worship another God. Today is like the day of the revelation at Mount Sinai, and God exalted and magnified you by your acceptance of the Torah in order that you be his own treasure from among the peoples, and that you shall keep all his commandments. For to you alone he gave his Torah and commanded you with all the commandments that are desirable before him, and to no other nation." Now the Rambam wrote about the Jewish people being the only ones to receive the Torah. He said the following: Moshe only gave the Torah mitzvos as an inheritance to the people of Israel. As God wrote, the Torah is the inheritance of the congregation of Yaakov, of Jacob. And to all those who desire to convert from all the nations, as God wrote, the convert shall be the same as you. However, someone who does not desire to accept Torah mitzvos should not be forced to. In the same way, Moshe was commanded by God to compel all the inhabitants of the world to accept the commandments given to Noah's descendants, the 7 Noahide laws. Rambam wrote that in the same way, Gentiles are not compelled to keep all 613 mitzvahs of the Torah. Moshe was commanded to compel Gentiles to keep the 7 Noahide laws. How is not compelling Gentiles to keep the 613 mitzvahs the same as compelling Gentiles to keep the 7 Noahide laws? Shouldn't the Rambam have written in a different way, not the same way, to introduce the obligation of 7 Noahide laws, instead of writing in the same way? Rambam's comparison between not compelling Gentiles to keep the 613 mitzvos and compelling Gentiles to keep the 7 Noahide laws is based on the Gentiles' relationship with God. The Jew and Gentile develop their relationship with God in different ways. The Jew through the 613 mitzvos, and the Gentile through the 7 Noahide laws. Each nation's relationship to God is kept unique to each nation by not allowing Gentiles to keep the 613 mitzvos and compelling them to keep the 7 Noahide laws. Judaism isn't quote-unquote better, but it's unique in the keeping of 613 mitzvos. Shalom.